Daniel Holstein, chief tech of the famed Kellhounds mercenary unit, sipped his glass of red wine in the crew lounge above the mech bay. It was late, and everyone else had already gone back to their barracks, save for one other occupant seated beside him. "I can't believe you actually got the Schwerner Gustav to move, let alone fire that stupid thumper cannon." Holstein sipped his glass again, then asked, "How did you manage to get the gyro calibrated with all those disparate parts?" "It's not hard," replied Sergei Ivanovich, head tech of the somewhat less famous Tooth of Ymir mercenary unit. "You combine each chassis in computer, estimate percentage mass, then run smoothing algorithm for potential movement extremes. I practically do in head." "You're incredible," Daniel said, and he meant it. Holstein was a good tech. He wouldn't be in the Kellhounds otherwise, but he was careful, analytical, and above all, practical. The idea of creating a functional battle mech out of 3 distinct chassis instantly filled his head with so many potential faults that the whole endeavor seemed impossible, or at the very least, too time-consuming to bother with. And yet Sergei had managed it in just 6 months. He had an intuitive understanding of physics and engineering that Daniel knew he'd never possess. It was what immediately drew him to Sergei. Losing that bet 5 years ago was the best thing that had ever happened to him. "Did you, ever finish that case of Lachon Ale?" Sergei downed his glass. "Gone in first month, but I kept bottle." Daniel laughed. "As a trophy?" "That," Sergei replied, then grinned sheepishly. "And the reminder of you." Touched, Daniel put his glass down on the coffee table and leaned over to gather Sergei in his arms. The move caught Sergei by surprise, drunk as he was, but he corrected fast enough that their lips met gently and not in a catastrophic collision. Sergei placed his own glass down on the table, just as Daniel began to unbutton his jumpsuit. Sergei held up a hand to pause Daniel's advance. "But we promised Clan Wolf a new mech, yes?" "We will," Daniel replied as he flipped open another button of Sergei's jumpsuit. "We've got new Gauss rifles from Korean, new lasers from Diverse Optics, and all the endo steel and ferrofibrous armor we could ever need. And I'm sure if you can make the Gustav out of 3 old beat-up mechs, you can make a brand new one in half that time." "I'm not sure about," Sergei began, but then Daniel silenced him with another kiss. The next morning, Assistant Tech Zikomo stopped her Tooth of Ymir counterpart Fabian from entering the lounge for their usual pot of coffee. Even through the frosted glass, both could see several bottles on the table and 2 men sleeping in various states of undress. "What the fuck did they do last night?" Fabian asked, and sniffed. "I mean, besides each other." Zikomo threw up her hands. "They were supposed to have a draft proposal for the Mangonel done today, and from the looks of things, I don't think we're gonna get it." "So what do we do? The wolves are gonna need something. There's a war going on." Fabian seemed next to panicking. "We do what assistant techs have been doing for centuries," Zikomo said, hiking her belt up with a look of grim determination. "We cover for our hungover bosses." Sometime that afternoon, Sergei and Daniel emerged into a busy workshop as their respective Aztecs frantically tried to assemble a prototype mech from the various parts delivered to Ark Royal Mechworks some weeks ago. Barely coherent, the two agreed to every proposal, signed every form presented to them, then hailed a cab to bring them back to their shared apartment. Neither would know what became of the Mangonel until Clan Wolf in Exile accepted its first production deliveries a few months later. Both would later deny any involvement with the Mangonel's development. A mostly true lie. The Mangonel was a mech of necessity. With the Jihad rapidly depleting Clan Wolf in Exile's Toman, Khan Phelan Kell sought assistance from Ark Royal Mech Works for a new heavy cavalry mech. Still unable to replicate superior clan technology, Ark Royal proposed a 70-ton machine built from off-the-shelf components readily sourced from the Inner Sphere suppliers. In theory, this strategy would keep costs to a minimum and ensure that the Mangonel could be produced quickly and in great numbers. That theory was soon dashed upon the cold, hard rocks of reality. While the Mangonel did progress from prototype to production at record speed, and the resulting mech was inexpensive to produce by clan standards, its performance left much to be desired. One of the key complaints from clan warriors was the anemic performance of the Korean Light Gauss rifle, a weapon that sought to mirror the compact design of the standard clan-made rifle. While Korean was able to reduce the overall weight and size of their Gauss rifle, they were unable to propel a projectile of similar mass, resulting in a far less damaging weapon system. Clan warriors used to making devastating shots at nearly a kilometer using paired Gauss rifles were disappointed to discover the MNL-3L Mangonel's rifles weren't nearly as destructive. Combined with Inner Sphere grade extended range medium lasers and just a single ton of Gauss ammo feeding twin rifles, the Mangonel's combat performance put it at a fraction of Clan Omni-Mechs of similar mass. The Mangonel's defenses were also criticized by pilots who survived combat. 8 tons of sphere-made ferrofibrous armor was barely on par with most Clan medium mechs, while a lack of built-in case meant the Korean-made Gauss rifles were likely to catastrophically detonate if they were damaged during a discharge cycle. Given how those rifles were situated right next to the cockpit, Mangonel pilots' concerns seemed warranted. Perhaps most damning of the Mangonel's performance was its readiness rating, which was roughly 30% lower than that of other mechs of the era. Despite leveraging as many off-the-shelf components as possible, both techs and warriors complained of the Mangonel's required increasing maintenance cycles due to excessive wear of the leg actuators. Ark Royal Mech Works assured Clan Wolf in Exile's technician cast that these complaints were solved after the first production run. But the Mangonel retains a reputation for being a hangar queen. The MNL-3L, first produced in 3079, was built around a Magna 350 Light engine, another partially successful attempt at recreating clan tech, and on top of an AR-7B endo steel chassis. Mounted in the right torso just astride the cockpit were 2 Korean Light Gauss rifles, while 4 diverse optics ER medium lasers were distributed between 2 arms. 10 double heat sinks were just enough to keep the mech cool in normal combat conditions, while 8 tons of ferrofibrous armor protected internal systems. And as mentioned, a single ammunition bay fed both Gauss rifles, often leading pilots to husband their shots. After years of complaints, Clan Wolf engineers took the MNL-3L and produced the MNL-3W in 3082. An all-clan rebuild of the Mangonel, the MNL-3W mounts 2 clan-made Gauss rifles and 4 clan-grade ER medium lasers, almost doubling the original's firepower. 2 tons of ammunition are dedicated to each Gauss rifle, and 10 tons of clan ferrofibrous armor offer more than 20% additional defensive coverage. Combined with case, ECM, and a top speed of 86 km per hour, the 3W is a much more flexible and resilient offering for clan warriors. The MNL-4S arrived in 3088 as an upgrade to the earlier and heavily flawed 3L model. The 4S retains the same Inner Sphere-made chassis, engine, and armor, but replaced its Korean Light Gauss rifles with a single Hague 40 and its diverse optics lasers with clan-made ER medium and pulse lasers in the arms. Already overmatched at its introduction, the MNL-3L is becoming increasingly obsolete as clan technology becomes the de facto battlefield standard. Ark Royal Mech Works still offers the MNL-4S as an upgrade package for any aging MNL-3Ws, but all production lines have been brought up to the MNL-3W standard. That said, Original model Mangonels are still occasionally spotted in roving mercenary units and amongst former Republic of the Sphere forces.